Hey guys, it's Mrs. Flores. I wanted to give you some examples of the problems from the worksheet to remind you how to do these problems. So I thought I'd work number 2 from the first half and then number 10 from the second part. So I rewrote it. Let's see, here's number 2. All right, the directions ask us to write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line. This right now is in standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. And slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So that's what we want. We want the y by itself, which means we need to isolate this y here. Move everything else over to the other side. We're going to start by subtracting 13x from both sides. Because this is positive and this is negative, it makes 0 and goes away. And on the left side, we're left with negative 11y. On the right side, we have negative 13x minus 12. So I moved this in here, this little space, because I want mx first. So our x is going to be the first term. So now I have negative 11y. That's a multiplication right there. To undo the multiplication, I do the opposite, which is division. So I'm going to divide this term by negative 11. To keep the equation equal, I have to divide all of my terms by negative 11. So the left side cancels and turns to 1. So 1 times y will just give us y. So we have y equals... A negative divided by a negative becomes a positive, and since 13 divided by 11 becomes a decimal that never ends, I'm going to leave it in fraction form. So it becomes positive 13 over 11x. The same thing happens over here. It's negative 12 divided by negative 11, turns into a positive, and I'm going to leave it in fraction form because when I divide it, it turns into a decimal that doesn't end. If you have the ability to change it into a whole number or a decimal that doesn't repeat or that ends, I would go ahead and do that on your worksheet. So here's the answer for number 2. Let's take a look at number 10. The directions for number 10 say to write the standard form of the equation of the line through the given point with the given slope. So we're going to use slope-intercept form again, y equals mx plus b. So we're going to use that same format. We don't know what b is. B is our y-intercept, and since the x in this case is not 0 here, we know that that's not the y-intercept. It's a random point. But we can use this equation because it has an x and a y, and this point has an x and a y, and we're going to use that point with the slope in this equation to find b and then rewrite the equation altogether. So we know our slope. Our slope is negative 1. So we know our y. In this case, it's negative 1. We also know x. These two are together, which means they're multiplying. We don't know b, so we're going to leave it like that. So now we just simplify and then solve the equation for b. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. I want b by itself. Since we're adding here, we need to do the opposite of that. This is a negative 3. What do we need to pair it with to make 0? That would be a positive 3. So we're going to add 3 to both sides. So now I'm left with b on the right. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So now we know what b is, and we know what the slope is. So we just have to substitute what we know into this equation. We have y equals negative 1x plus 2, which is our b and our slope. Remember, when we have this type of equation, Our x and y is any point on the line, so we need to leave them like that, not substitute anything in. So that's my answer in slope-intercept form. The thing is, the directions asked us to put it in standard form, and on number 2, I said that standard form is ax plus by equals c. So we need to rearrange the equation that we got just a little bit. Our equation right now is y equals negative 1x plus 2. So I'm going to move this x over here so that I have an x plus a y term equals c, which is going to always be our constant. So all I have to do that is add the 1x to the other side. These are not like terms, so they cannot be combined. 1x is just x. This is a positive y. These cancel, and we're left with 2. So now this is our final answer because it's in standard form. All right, guys, good luck with the rest of the problems. Email me if you have any other questions.